Hello YouTubers, Knife Detector here, and I wanted to share with you this knife that I've had for a while. I just haven't had a chance to make a video on it. I've had other knives I've wanted to make videos for instead. And as you guys know, if you've been watching my videos, you know my relationship with Swiss Army knives. Started when I was 13 and then ended abruptly and then began again shortly about 2 months ago. So I came across this knife, and as I often do, I peruse eBay, and when I was looking at a knife lot that was for sale, I noticed buried among the knives, I saw just the edge of this corkscrew, and then I saw this part right here. So essentially all I saw was these two things, and then I thought, wait a minute, that looks like it could be a vintage Victorinox. And I was pleasantly surprised when I received the order that it was. I don't know a whole lot about Victorinox knives, but to me this appears to be a 1950s Victorinox. I like this knife very much. I have it in a sheath. I don't use it hardly at all. Has some print on the blade. I don't know what it means because I think it is in Dutch. Klotzli. Bergdorf. I'm not sure exactly what that means. It could be the name of a business, a person, or a hotel. I'm not 100% sure what it means at all. A couple of things about this knife is it has the Swiss pat right there. It does say Victorinox on it right there. The blade has been sharpened. It has been used. Somebody did use this knife quite a bit. But that's what these knives are made for. It is dirty. I haven't cleaned it a whole lot. I've just kind of wiped it down. As you can see, there's a lot of dirt I need to clean. Might do that later. I just haven't wanted to mess with this too much because, well, when you guys get a knife, and I'm sure just like the case with me, you know, you probably enjoy cleaning it just like I do because it's part of the thrill of getting a knife. It's like, I liken it to an archaeologist taking a small brush and dusting away the dirt particles to find what their treasure looks like. A lot of times, you know, knife enthusiasts, as I'm sure other collectors, like to clean the objects themselves or just leave it uncleaned in as-found condition. I usually do clean mine, but I enjoy doing it, and I really take my time with it. And I haven't done that with this knife. I do like it very much. Some of the features of this knife is that it has a clip point blade as opposed to the other Swiss Army knives. This is very sharp. Clip point blade. Still has some snap. We have the double-edged corkscrew. This is kind of all I saw sticking out of that knife lot. The rest of them were pretty much China knives. But I saw that and I'm like, oh my goodness, I think I know what that might be. And then the awl. I like the awl very much. Is this a straight type of awl, and it has no holes in it at all. Another thing you'll notice about this knife is that it doesn't have a toothpick or tweezers insert, and it does not have a lanyard loop. I'm wondering if they did that for ease of carrying. I believe that this might be the Spartan model. If they made that model back then, I'm not sure. But it's a good looking knife for sure. I believe that the color of the scales might be a little darker than today's knives. And then the pins go all the way through. It's not just on the aluminum interior, the handles, that you find the pins. Here they're exposed because that's how they're made. So that I think is something that I like very much. So I wanted to share this with you. I know that I had stopped my series on Swiss Army knives, but I came across this one on eBay. And as a matter of fact, I bought another one today, and I'm going to tell you a quick story about that, if you don't mind. A lot of times, guys, I mentioned that I wonder, you know, who has these knives, how many hands they exchange, who the previous owners were, and what the history is behind these items. And, you know, I had a couple of knives that today I thought, well, let me take them to the flea market. Maybe I can strike a deal. So I met this nice gentleman. And what I mean by deal is a trade. I love to trade. When I trade knives, it's like me talking to people, getting to know people, and sharing a little bit about myself with them, and both of us sharing a passion for knives. And I had talked to this gentleman before in the flea market. As I mentioned, I live in South Texas, and we have winter Texans that come visit us. They're seasonal guests, and they come over and they stay at RV parks, and they subsidize their trip over here by selling goods, arts and crafts and antiques that they pick up on their travels. And so I was talking to this gentleman. He had some nice Parker pins, some used Parker pins that I happen to like as well, and I knew I needed to buy the replacement cartridges for them. But I asked him if he wanted to make a trade, and I've traded with him before in the past, although I don't think he remembers me. A wonderful gentleman in his 80s, I believe, and he said, well, usually don't. You know, I kind of get the sense that he wanted cash. He needed cash. He wasn't interested in things. He was interested in cold, hard cash because he needed to spend. So I continued to speak with him, and I noticed that he had an original belt sheath for a Schrade 152 that I had for sale on Etsy. I went ahead and took it off for sale when I found that sheath for it, and I figured, well, I'll just put it together with the sheath and I'll keep it for a while and I'll wear it that way. So I decided to take that off for sale. And I noticed he had a couple of other things. And I said, would you be willing to make a trade? And first he said no. Then he came back around. He said, what do you got? So I pulled out a Craftsman knife that I have. And I already made a video on that Craftsman knife, guys. It was for sale on Etsy as well, but I took it off. And it's basically an older Craftsman camp style knife, and it had an awl in there, and it also had a Phillips screwdriver, which I thought made it quite unique. I didn't pay very much for it. I got a great deal on it, also on eBay. And he saw that, and he just went crazy for it. You know, I could tell he really liked it. He looked at it for about 5 minutes, guys, really examining it. He said, oh, I haven't seen one of these in a long time, and he started to get more customers, and he said, no, I can't, you know, can't really use it, you know, and I got the impression he really wanted it. So I asked him what kind of deal he could make me on 3 Parker pins and the sheath, and he said $10, which I thought was more than fair. So I paid him what he wanted, and then I came back and I said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and gift you this knife. I could tell you really liked it. That was kind of my little way of paying it forward. So I gave him the Craftsman knife, and he seemed kind of taken aback. He didn't know what to say, and he said, well, okay, thank you. Just really quick, trying to keep it short. And I walked off, and I smiled. And I knew that he really liked it. And I know that he gave me a good deal last year when I bought something from him too. So for me, it's just a way of kind of sharing the joy with him and helping him to get even on the deal we made. I don't want to take advantage of anyone either, and felt good about doing that. You know, so it's not for sale on Etsy. That Craftsman knife, that knife is now in somebody's pocket, an elderly gentleman probably right now. Then still in Westlaco. So I wanted to share that story with you, and you know, we're caretakers of these items, and sometimes it's good to trade. Because not only are you trading hard items, you're also trading thoughts, you're trading goodwill, you're trading friendship, one for another. So that's it for today, guys. I wanted to share that with you. I wanted to let you know my experience. You guys have probably done the same. Because I think we're all a brotherhood of blades. You know, we all like these, we share them. It's a way for us to communicate, and it's a common language. Thank you. God bless, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. Once again, this is Knife Detector signing off, saying stay sharp.